Hello, another video from the angry photographer, the crazy angry photographer. Got some secret tips and tricks that you've never heard of before and you wouldn't have heard of in any photography magazine, and like to keep things simple, give you little tips and tricks. So why don't I shut the fuck up and get to it? Okay, tip number 1, store your lenses with your aperture blades closed like this, right there, like that. 2 reasons why. It keeps a particularized oil, oil and grease. Some lenses actually have oil in them, but the grease in the helicoid barrel of your focus between the barrel and the actual lens assembly, it keeps that from migrating front to back or back to front. The second reason is it takes the strain off. There's a little tiny coiled spring right back here underneath the bayonet mount that's part of this assembly, and if you leave it all the way open, then you've got it fully distended. So keep your aperture rings closed on lenses you plan to store. How important is that? Not extremely. Does it have an effect over a period of time? Yeah, I know for a fact it actually does. So there's also a third reason for that, and by keeping your aperture blades all the way to the center of the lens instead of extended out to the periphery, you can also keep grease from migrating, or oil, depending on how the lens is either greased or oiled. You can actually find, depends on the type of grease. Some of them actually, what happens is, like some of the non-Teflon greases, what happens is they liquefy over time if they get enough heat. And if you store your lens in a bag like this, with your aperture blades all the way open, what happens is that the grease will actually liquefy. I've actually seen this before. It'll liquefy and it'll extend to the shutter blades. So when you go to close your shutter blades, you'll see that the grease has migrated to the blades, and that's never a good thing. So it keeps the grease particularizing front to back or back to front. It takes the tension off this little spring right here. And if you have your camera lens out in your bag in a hot field assignment or whatnot, it'll actually keep the grease from liquefying and migrating to the aperture blades. Okay. Another thing too is a trick that I know you'll never heard of in any photography magazine. It's an important little trick. A killer for lenses is fungus. And if you ever get your lens really wet during a rainstorm or whatnot, and you notice that you probably got some wet in your barrel assembly and you're worried about migrating to your elements, fungus is a killer. God knows how many thousands of lenses I've seen with fungus. What you need to do is, you don't want to heat your lens up, but what you want to do is stick it on a heating pad on low. If you got a UV lamp, shine directly into the lens. See if you can actually take your rear lens cap off, because what will happen, it will build up excess heat. The UV or the sunlight will reflect off the back of the lens cap and will actually build up heat inside the lens, which you don't want to do, because that will cause itself a haze build up inside of the lens from particularized oil. So what you want to do is stick the lens in your window in the sunlight for a few hours after it's dried off. You've known that the lens is dry. What happens is the UV rays, or if you got a UV lamp, use that for a couple of hours. Not real close. You're not trying to cook eggs on the thing, and you do not want your lens to get hot. What you want to do is actually to have the UV kill off any fungus that might start to be growing on the inside of your elements. The fungus hates UV light, okay? So once you've dried out your lens, stick it in a windowsill for a few hours, or if you got a UV lamp hanging above your lens 3 or 4 feet, you don't want your lens getting hot. You just want it exposed to the UV rays so it kills off the fungus that is likely growing on the inside of your lens because of the fact that you used it in wet condition and you have water on the inside of your lens. I would myself take the lens apart, but I don't recommend that to anybody else because it takes some mad crazy skills, and it's a real pain in the butt to get them apart, and it's a real pain in the butt to get them back together, especially on the more complex ones. This one's really simple, but anyway, so the UV light to kill off fungus, okay? Now this is going to seem, here's a tip for your camera. You plan on taking your camera to a concert, which they've always got laser shows going on. The quickest way to absolutely destroy your fucking camera, and I mean to destroy it permanently, is to take your camera to a concert or to some gig where they're always shining lasers around. You can actually Google this and you can read stories about it. It only takes one swipe of coherent light radiation, especially from the green or the blue lasers, across your inner sensor. Okay, especially if you're filming video. Obviously your shutter is closed, and if you're taking shots, it's only exposed when the shutter is open, obviously. But if you're filming video with your DSLR, it only takes one swipe of that coherent light laser light to destroy, permanently destroy. Forget about it. You're going to have to write your camera off on an insurance claim, or you're going to have to send it in for complete sensor replacement. It's only going to take that long to totally fucking ruin your camera. That's something a lot of people haven't thought about before, okay? And if you're out in a gig in the wildlife, carry around some Ziploc freezer bags so you can keep your lenses and your Ziplocs. You don't want a bunch of cold and humidity and moisture build up on your lenses. I mean, that's where these lenses have had shitty care taken to them, that they've actually gotten too much moisture, or someone's been packing them around out in the field. You got it on your camera, fine. Obviously, you can't have that in your Ziploc bag, but the lenses in your bag, keep 3 or 4 Ziplocs in your camera bag or your field bag to keep your lenses in, okay? Do it. It only cost you 50 cents. Just do it. Remember to keep your lenses not only in a dry place, but a cool place. What causes haze is the particularization of the grease inside this barrel. I showed you in a prior video how much grease there is on the inside of this barrel. It is enormous, alright? Enormous. And once it gets heated up, it'll particularize inside the inner elements. You end up with nasty haze, and it is just, forget about getting it out. And if you know how to take lenses apart, which basically nobody does, it's still a pain in the ass. So keep them dry and keep them cool. Don't want your lenses getting hot, alright? God knows don't leave them out in a hot car. It's like, well, my cameras are safe, they're in the trunk, it's 100 degrees outside. No! You'll end up with haze on the inside of your interior elements of your lenses. Don't do that, alright? Remember the trick about the UV to kill off fungus. Trick number 2, which you would think that would be very obvious, and yet I nevertheless need to mention it. You need to number all your SD cards and your camera batteries when you're on a wedding shoot or whatnot, and you're fumbling around, you're trying to think of 1,000 things at once. Number all your SD cards and number all your batteries. I don't know how simple this is. I shouldn't have to mention it at all, but apparently I do. All your compact flash cards, all your SD cards, all your batteries, number them. Do I need to state the reason why? I don't think I do. Now here's another one. If you're shooting children, sounds really stupid, but it's extremely useful. You got to shoot the little rugrats. Your rugrats, somebody else's rugrats. This is going to sound so dumb, so cutesy, and yet it works most of the time. Is take a cutesy little whatever the hell like this. Hi, little fuzzy bunny rabbit, hey! Stick some Velcro on his ass. This lens obviously isn't long enough, but you get the idea. Stick it on top of the lens, so when you're pointing that lens in the baby's face, instead of the baby going, because nobody wants a photograph like that, right? He's looking at the cute little bunny rabbit, not the lens that the bunny rabbit's got his ass sitting on, or whatever the hell little fuzzy woodland creature you plan on Velcroing to the top of your lens. You can take rugrat pictures or baby pictures. Stick a piece of Velcro on Bunny Rabbit's ass, and then a piece of Velcro, a removable Velcro, on the top of your lens, somewhere where you don't have to focus it, alright? Stick that on your lens, baby's happy, you get fast shots because the baby's smiling and giggling instead of crying. Nobody wants crying baby pictures, unless of course it's a gruesome news photographer, okay? Sounds really stupid, yet is extremely effective for taking rugrat shots. Find a little fuzzy woodland creature to stick on top of your lens for little baby shots, alright? Stupid, yet effective, right? Right. Okay, there's another end of the crazy photography videos. So remember, keep lasers away from your camera, because 1 millisecond of that laser will fucking destroy your camera. I don't mean for an hour or two, I mean it will permanently ruin your camera. Ruin it! Okay? Remember the UV light trick on your lenses? And remember why you need to keep your aperture blades shut down. Tension on the spring, keep oil particularization from migrating. Also keeps, in case your lens gets hot, keeps the blades from getting oiled up with the liquefied grease. Depends what sort of grease was used. There have been several different varieties over the many years, and God knows who took the lens apart and re-greased it at some point in time 20 years ago. Who knows what they used? So, keep your aperture blade shut down like that. Sounds really stupid? Yeah. Is it important? Yeah, on a level it's actually important. Do you have to do it? No, obviously you don't. I gave you the logical reasons why you should do it. This is the crap you don't read about in photography magazines. Okay? You ever get your lens wet? Dry it off. Stick it in the sunlight. Don't get it hot. Or use your UV lamp on it. Remember, you're just using the UV. You're not trying to cook the lens like a cookie, goddammit. Okay, you're just trying to irradiate it with UV so fungus doesn't start forming on the inside of your lens. So those are a few cool tips and tricks on your lenses and your camera from the Angry Photographer. Send me any questions. Give me a like. If you like this, send me a buck or two. Or you can tell me to go screw myself. Whatever makes you happy. I'm ultimately trying to help you. That's my whole premise of these videos. And thanks for watching. Catch you later.